Normally, we would begin an episode of the podcast off with some sort of like silly, out of context line or whatever. But in this case, all I want to say is everyone, listeners, we hope you enjoy episode 151 of Too Much Energon.
Too much energon.
Too much energon, like this podcast.
The beasts are here, McLeod, for the gathering.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings, Megatron.
Then they'd better stay out of my way. Blah, 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
Big time Gary himself.
Man, these things look like toys.
Maximal! Maximal! Does that mean transform?
Cheetor, what have you done? I am transformed.
Sigma balls, Gary! No, no, that.
Greetings, Maximals and Predacons. Welcome to episode 151 of Too Much Energon, the podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. Coming to you live, as always, from a mysterious floating mountain somewhere hidden on planet Energon. I am, once and for all, Christopher Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm your other host, NeoCal, just chilling out and excited to jump into Too Much Energon again.
Yeah. This week on Too Much Energon, on this very, very special episode, we have an interview with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. David Kaye. We're not going to dilly-dally, we're just going to jump right into it, but stick around until afterwards because we got some listener emails coming up and a very big announcement to make.
Enjoy.
So here it is.
Too much energon.
We are here on this episode of Too Much Energon, the Beast Wars podcast, with a very special guest today. And that special guest is the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend himself, David Kaye.
Sight guns. No.
Yes, I'll just do that. I'm just going to do the button the whole every time.
Do the
Question
whole
you ask is just
interview.
going to be, yeah.
Do the whole interview just responding with a button.
Yeah, yeah, that would be fun just to try. We could do 5 minutes of no.
I got one of those too.
Yeah, you got one?
Yes. Excellent.
Oh.
Pleasant surprise.
And here I am,
They
the
talk to
loser
each
that
other.
doesn't have one.
Oh, you don't have one? Oh.
Okay,
Oh,
fine,
that's
I'll
terrible.
leave.
That's terrible. I dig the BC Lions hat. Brings back memories of Doug Flutie and seeing him live win the Grey Cup. That was there's another toy there.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're from BC, so I like to try to rep BC whenever I can.
Yeah, of course. Are you there? Are you there in BC?
Yeah, I live in Nanaimo and Cal lives in Victoria.
Oh,
The
nice.
island.
Yeah,
We're island folk.
I love the island. You know, I tell people one of my favorite places in the world to visit is Vancouver Island. I love Tofino. I love going up there off season, like in the wintertime, at the storm season, up the Wickaninnishin up there on the beach. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite places in the world. You know,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
man,
beautiful
great,
over there.
great memories of British Columbia. I mean, kids were born there. I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up there, but we spent 17 years, great years in Vancouver, and my career started there. A lot of great friends still there, and last time we were there, boy, it's changed. we drove. We have a place, still keep a place in Kelowna, and we drove in from Kelowna, and we're coming down, from Surrey into the valley, and it's like, what's that city? Is that it? What are those buildings? The hell is that? Where am I? Yeah, I was. It's like, wow, in short order.
I try to go there as little as possible, and I feel like that every
Yeah.
few years when I go there. I'm like, what's going on here? Why is everything
it's,
bigger?
It's really like it's changed since I thought it, but I have a soft spot, for Vancouver, but I have an even softer spot for the island, honestly. I love it. Nanaimo Bar. The first thing we did when we visited, we got on the ferry. As those who have been to British Columbia and lived there, first thing, even it was like the 6 a.m. fair, whatever it was. It's like Nanaimo bars. All right. Who's got it? Went to the cafeteria.
Who's got them?
Who's got them? Yeah.
Yeah, I work at a grocery store in downtown Nanaimo, and
Yeah.
during the summertime, we tend to get a lot of tourism, and it's always people asking for Nanaimo bars.
Yeah.
Where's the other Nanaimo? Where's the Nanaimo bar section? Where is that?
That whole aisle 7, is Nanaimo bars
yeah.
on the right and maple syrup on the left.
The melt syrup left, and there's a Mountie at the end just to make sure you're not screwing around. Yeah, man, it's great memories. Well, thank you for having me on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Sure.
So to talk, you mentioned starting your career in Vancouver. How did you get involved with Mainframe and doing voices for Beast Wars? And I believe you also did voices on Reboot as well. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know. I still wonder Are you sure? Because there's a lot of great other choices out there. I mean, I to this day choose to be oblivious in many areas of life. I have no news apps. I've deleted all my news. I have no idea what's going on.
Probably for the best.
And so I've pulled away. My team, Samantha and Michelle, are doing a great job with social media. But otherwise, I don't know what's going on. So even back then, before all this, I was, there's friends of mine and people who were like, they knew everything, like all the union stuff, and they were reading, and then they knew what was going on. I had like, what's this? Oh, a cartoon? What's it for? Oh, never heard of that. And I took that attitude because I got the sides for Beast Wars, Transformers, and I knew it existed. I didn't at that time. I didn't know about the Frank Welker and Peter Cullen. The G1. I watched Bugs Bunny and different cartoons like that, and I did watch GI Joe. I had some GI Joe toys as a kid, so I had a few things, but I didn't really sort of know what was going on. Read a ton of comics. I don't know why I sold them. But I got this big sort of Bible of stuff, like the character breakdowns, the relationships between Megatron and this and that, and
They gave you a homework Bible.
pretty much. Like sometimes when you get an audition, sometimes they don't. It's not that deep. Like when I auditioned for the Marvel movie Eternals, it was a paragraph and nothing. There was no explanation of anything. It was like, what do I do with this? I was like, well, they're only saying it, select people. And I'm thinking, I didn't even know what the movie was. I go, well, maybe it's Transformers. Maybe they're, So I just kind of went with, I thought I was auditioning for an Optimus type character. I didn't really know what it was. So, but the Beast Wars thing back in, I guess it must have been 93, 94, it was a stack. And I'm like, all these papers, and I did. So the best thing I could have done was not look at anything or see anything. There was, because I had my own, even up until the moment I went in to audition for Doug Parker, who was doing the auditions, and it was what is it? The sales? Where the expo site was? All the flags. What's that called? That area in Vancouver, near False Creek. That's where it was like where the expo was, and there's a bunch of flags, flagpoles, and there was a studio there, and that's where we did the auditions. It was a random studio. There was a comedy club. It's where I met Celine Dion for the first time, and that there's a music venue there. It was a really cool bar, and there was a studio in that area. I don't remember, and I had no idea up until the moment I walked in to the booth, and he said, okay, what do you got? And I'm like, well, I thought I'd audition, seat in my pants, that's my life, for the role of Megatron. All right, let's hear it. Let's see what you got. And I'm like panicking because I really don't have anything, because I couldn't, there's so much information, I didn't really know what to do. So I kind of like it when there's like very little information. I come up with my own. But I kind of started like, all I could think of was I told this over and over again. Anthony Hopkins and Sean Connery were big actors at the time, and what if there was kind of a lizard quality, or what if they had a baby, blah, blah, blah. And I just sort of I didn't say yes. I was just, this is how I started doing it. He was a leader, and I sort of took those components and somehow they liked it enough to call me back. I went to GGRP Studios at the time, in Vancouver, and there was nobody there. I walked in. Usually, there's people, milling about in the waiting room. I was the only person there. And then they called me in, and I was like, "Oh!" And then there's people behind the glass, and they had me read for Optimus as well. I don't remember what I did. Probably similar to what I did for my Optimus Prime in animated. I don't know. But Megatron, I seemed to have a grasp on it then. I knew that's what they wanted. So okay, well, I'm just going to do that and kind of dig in more and come up with this more Shakespearean, because it was kind of written. Shakespearean like what Bob Ford and Larry did. They were great. They were amazing. And and that's kind of how it started. And I think it was a couple weeks or after that I got the good news, and no one really knew where. It was another cartoon. How many episodes? Oh, they're hoping for 2. Oh, great, excellent. A paycheck, as it were. And we didn't think too much about it until we saw the animation at Pinewood Studios, the rough animation from Mainframe, when they used to enter the information at night, and it would take all night long just to come up with a small little bit of, animation. And we all went to render, right? All that stuff. Like I can imagine that the heating bill or the electricity bill. But we all sat back going, "Wow, this is different. Well, this is going to be something." And Sue's like,
What do you think, guys? This is going to be special. This is going to be super. This is going to, oh my God, this is going to be, wow.
What? I remember Sue talking. And then we just did our job and sort of forgot about it. And then everything sort of started, happening. But that's the story of how, I got hired. And then, it brought me in for what do you call what was the characters in Reboot? I really wanted a part in that. I love that. It was a Celestial or not a Celestial. That's the other thing. Spectrals. The Spectrals, yeah. More like a sort of Star Trek-y sort of thing. And I just remember being in that room. That was fun. All my friends were on that show. That was cool. So that was my introduction to Mainframe. Yeah.
So you didn't single-handedly go in with the hopes of saving the Transformers franchise?
I had no idea. I had no idea. I literally, to this day, I just think I'm being oblivious it seems to be helping my mental health by not knowing what's going on.
It's so satisfying hearing you say that, because kind of just I haven't been able to put it into words, but just being like, oh man, how about I just focus on like my world, which is
that's exactly dude, that's exactly what I did. I found myself waking up at the middle of the night, can't sleep, and what did I do? Go to the phone, and then it's 5 a.m. and I go, what? And then I feel like crap all day. Like I find, what am I doing? Who's this for? Why is this important? It's not. I can't do anything. I can't change anything. This is my life, and I'm going to live it right here. My family, my kids, my wife, and and that's what's important to me. So and it's a blip in time. We were like a little pinhead of in the vastness of space, a little teeny little moment in time.
A mote of dust.
Yeah, a mote of dust. On a exactly. That's what it is. And let's make the most of it, because and I think coming from an era where growing up in the 80s, we didn't have that, right? I'm glad I had that experience of not having it. So now I go, oh, I know, I can relate to like what it was like. If you grew up in it now, that's all you know. So I'm sort of glad.
That's a weird concept.
Yeah,
because I grew up in the time where Christopher and I grew up in the time where we, or at least I did. I can't speak for him, but like maybe I'll disappear and ride a bike and drive across town.
Yeah,
and then I'll call my mom and like feel bad and be like, "Oh, sorry, can I eat dinner over here?"
Yeah.
And it's 8 o'clock. I know, I forgot. It's 8 o'clock. You should be home.
Yeah, I know.
I had no idea what was going on the internet.
Yeah,
it kind of existed.
Yeah, like it did. But anyway, just that I just enjoy that and being present at conventions. I have a bunch lined up this year, which is I'm looking at my calendar thinking, I gotta take my vitamins. It's to be present with the people who spend a lot of money. Let's face it, to come and see the likes of us is, let's give them 100%. And my team will ask me for photos and posts and that. And I sometimes I'll forget, like a bad client. But I like to be present. And I don't know why it's taken me so goddamn long to get to that point, to realize that, it's an old acting exercise, an old acting classes back in the day to take. It's just this moment. There's nothing else either behind you or in front. You can't control. It's just this. And so, and I was like, oh, yes, of course I understand. But now, it takes like 30 years to go by. You go, oh, right. Why didn't I
to the rest
learn
of my
that?
life?
Yeah, why? Which I just think is time on the planet. Everyone has to experience their own thing and go at it their own way and their own journey. But yeah. But so I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah. Yep. It's been all right.
I've pretty much had to myself walk away from social media, just delete it all and just try and kind of exist. Similar thing, kind of just try and exist in the world around me as opposed to spending so much time on my phone.
I think what you guys are doing is great, because what does it do? It's bringing joy and fun and things we love and we can relate to, and that's all I'm going to try and do. That's all I can do. And
well, thank you for that.
Of course,
because when we started this, we were like, this is niche. Like,
well, it is
a specific niche.
We're
doing it for us, right?
Yeah, and that's a secret. That's a secret. Is I don't do anything else for anybody else except for me. Like I somehow I'm into the food and wine thing thanks to my wife, when we met. But I'm running like a food group and a wine, this and that, and it's just a hobby. I study it. I'm taking a level 3 course in March. I don't know why. The business is kind of, but it's for my own sake, and I want to know. I do it because it's something I want to do. Hey, let's plan a dinner at that restaurant because I always wanted to eat there and meet the chef. Well, if I plan it, maybe, you know what I mean? So I'm doing it honestly for me. It's not, it's just, if you want to come along and, pay the fee, great. But really it's for me. So yeah, perfect.
Yeah. That's always been our philosophy with this podcast and the other podcasts that we do is it's mostly just about like me and Cal, like bullshitting and having fun and all of that. Right. And if other people listen, then great.
Yeah. And there's toys. There's toys.
Yeah.
You see that one? You know what that is? Which one that is?
I don't actually.
It's not Beast Wars. It's TF animated, and it's
the animated,
Toxitron. That's a very rare toy. Derek Wyatt gave me at the Pasadena BotCon when me and Al Weird Al Yankovic had a panel on stage, and afterward we had a reading. Derek gave this to me, and I just love that toy. It just sits here on my desk.
I could just tell from the style it was at the.
It's animated, and there's that one's on the.
Oh, there we go.
I like that. I always I love the MP43, and I have one in the box no one touches, but this one is my favorite. I love that. And, like Jobby the Hong said, I wish they would have put my voice in my little voice thing in there. But I kind of dig the dragon stuff. I kind of like that.
Fans are kind of like iffy about that. It just looks really cool.
It looks cool.
It's just rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy with the Transformers Legacy line that they released like a new version of the Dragon Megatron.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
I picked one up at the beginning of about a year ago now, beginning of last year.
Nice. Yeah, they're collectible. I'll be signing a few of those in a couple of weeks. We're doing the TF Con in LA, the Burbank Marriott, Feb 7th, 9th. No, wait a second. Where am I going to be? No, that's not till March. That's March 7th, 9th. Yeah, so in March, the TF Con will be there.
Sweet.
And, yeah.
Do you ever make it up to Fan Expo in Vancouver?
I haven't been invited. I think they're probably maybe working on. I'd love to go because that's my old hometown. I'm kind of, I know that because Kelowna is easy for me because we have a place I can, hang out there. And I could just, if it's in Vancouver, I'll just like whip over, either drive or a quick flight in Vancouver and it's there. Yeah, I'd love to be. I don't think I've ever done Fan Expo Vancouver. Maybe in its very beginning, but I don't think so. I don't think I've ever done, Fan Expo. Is that usually done at Simon Fraser University?
It's the Vancouver Convention Center.
The Vancouver Convention Center. And I don't know if I remember that. I can't remember. But the last thing I did up there was at Simon Fraser, and it was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Maybe in its infancy. I don't know. But I'd go, well, in a heartbeat, of course. God.
Come on, Fan Expo.
Yeah, Fan Expo, get it together.
Yeah, come on, Fan Expo.
They should have you and Gary Chalk there.
Oh, Gary. Yeah, Gary's having a bit of a, if you don't know, Gary's a little battling some right now. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I think it is. So he's going through.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going through some. And he's in the weeds for it. I talk to him fairly regularly, and it's funny because he sounds like he's also, well, I'm really tired. I mean, the poor guy's going through it, and I'm always checking in on him because it's funny. Gary and I learned a lot from Gary over the years, and he's just a lovable lug, and he's the first one during the pandemic who we drove from California to crossed it, the Abbotsford crossing, and drove into Kelowna. We had a place there because we just wanted to get out of here. And he's the first one I called. How you doing? You making out? He's always checking up on me, and we always kept in touch over the years. And so I just make a point of giving Gary a call now and again just to check up on him. So keep him in your thoughts. It's he's in the weeds, and we're all rooting for him. And the outcomes of this apparently are quite good. So we're all crossing our fingers. Yeah,
that's what we heard.
Yeah. We had him on the show about a year and a half ago. Him and Candace Santora.
Yeah.
Gary, great guy.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to talk to him.
Yes, sir. Pull my finger. Hey.
So do you have any favorite memories or something in particular that you look back fondly about with your time on Beast Wars or Beast Machines?
Oh, we're in recording sessions at Pinewood, which doesn't exist. Yeah, it's a apartment complex or condos now. Mm-hmm. But just the mornings of records were always a joy. They always had the talent muffins or donuts and coffee, and the big table in Pinewood. We used to sit around and read and shoot the shit and stuff. And it was funny because that's the time when everybody started to have a cell phone. So as Ian, Gary, all of us were fortunate to be working pretty regularly, and Scotty would drive up in his Corvette, and Ian had his Porsche. I had the Ferrari 348T at the time, and then Gary had the big did Land Rover. We were just assholes, and we all had woys, and it was just such a great group to be part of. Those we all would show up as early as to get the parking spots so we could park in the lot at Pinewood. Otherwise, you're on the street and you'd have to keep deposit coins and money. And I remember Don. Was it Don? For crying out loud, that's Scorponok. Don Brown is just a super nice guy, and I remember around 10:30. Sue, I got to go check my tires. Or I started laughing. So that became the moniker for Don. We'd ever say, I got to go check my tires. And we all knew that was Don Brown's voice. Sue, yes, got to go check my tires. So Don would never show up early enough to get a spot. with all the cool kids. Don had to park on the street all the time. Don, show up a little earlier. Jimmy coming in, of course, telling bad jokes, like horrible jokes that can't be repeated. Very funny, but like, at 9 a.m, you're like, that's too early for that.
He was one.
Jimmy Burns would come in. Hey, I got one for you. Hang on. All right, this, I go, here we go. And that would sort of set the day. But just the camaraderie, just the laughs and screwing around. And Pinewood always had that soft soundproofings, probably full of asbestos, if I think of it, Jesus. But used to, take your pencil and then throw it up and try and stick it in the ceiling.
Asbestos is great, the best for that.
It is the best, and it's like I think, oh my God. So we did stuff like that, and Sue would have to settle us down. Okay, guys, come on, we got to work. But just the whole thing was so much fun. I'd do that over again in a heartbeat without the asbestos ceiling.
Something else that can hold the pencils just as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something else they can do that with. That's probably why they had to tear it down. That and the radio station. The radio station I used to work at, LG Fox there, and they call Richards and Nelson. I mean, that was, God, I keep thinking, God, how long was I there? I think they put a lot of really shitty stuff in buildings back in the day. Good memories.
The previous generation had lead. You had asbestos.
Yeah.
I've got the microplastics.
Oh, the microplastics. Yeah.
I don't know what the next generation will have.
Oh boy, space junk. That's what.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Good old microplastics.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, just doing the records, man. That was the best. And the conventions, the first convention Venus and I ever did was in Rochester, and somebody in the back of the room yelled. It was our first experience with like that rock star sort of like thing where people, like hundreds of people showed up just to, why do they care what I have to say? But they all showed up. We're on a panel, and somebody in the back of the room, I remember this as plain as day, said, "Mr. Kaye, can you say excellent?" And so, everybody goes, "Woo!" And then I just leaned in and went, "Excellent." And the whole place went nuts. So I went, "Ooh, I have power. Wow, I know what it feels like." That it was a weird sort of moment. And the whole weekend we're like, wow, this is a thing? And they're like, oh yeah, this is a big deal. And so that's when I realized that maybe this has some legs, as it were. That was fun.
What is, other than Megatron, like what are some of your favorite voice roles that you've done over the years?
Oh my God, oh boy. I don't know. I have to check IMDb. I know recently there's been a couple of things I really enjoyed doing. Mayor First on Fright Crew, which is on Netflix. And Rob Paulson and I are in that, and that's a really cool Halloween-y type New Orleans thing. And I get to play the mayor of New Orleans, and he's not as he appears to be. I just really like that. I love playing doing the voice for another cartoon I sort of kind of grew up on. Was this guy here back in the day from He-Man, Masters of the Universe. And it's Battle Cat, and I just sort of took Liam Neeson and Liam was it Gallagher? What is it? Sorry, the camera. Liam from Game of Thrones, and I combined, and it became Adam's protector. This sort of voice in here. No, Adam. I found that very comfortable, that voice. And I
the smuggler is that actor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And there was a couple of other ones I've done recently. It's quite fun. I got a chance to play Superman in Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I loved being the crazy ass, over the top, angry Superman.
Yeah, because usually
how dare you? I'm Superman. Who the hell are you kids? I love playing around in that world. There's a lot. There's a bunch of fun stuff. A cartoon that is didn't get a lot of love from Netflix to go a second season. Who knows? But Farzar, and it's out there. It's beyond. It pushes boundaries, pops the bubble, and goes way into outer space. And it's quite funny. A lot of laughs during the pandemic, and it kept me going. And I got a chance to play Farzar. It's on Netflix. Yeah, check it out. Be warned.
Look at me actually looking it up right now.
Yeah,
so
but be warned. But I get to play a wonderful character who's he's a bad guy, but he has a soft heart, and he's clitoris. It's clitoris, sir. And
this looks great. This looks up my alley. I'm just
so please check it out. I'm warning you now, but it's very funny, and I get a chance to play the buffoon doctor, a scientist who invents things that don't really do anything. I invented this.
amazing.
And so check that out. So there was a lot of fun in there. I got a chance to play a lot of comedy, and I really enjoyed that. And those guys, Roger Black and Waco Gwen, Paradise PD, I think it is those guys. They hired me for this show, and it was such a thrill to work on. So who knows? It seems to be getting some more eyes. So you never know. They might be forced to have another season because we're ready to go.
Yeah, when I looked it up right here, most of the recommended searches after I typed in Farzar were like season 2. When is season 2?
Yeah,
is season 2 canceled? So obviously it seems that people are interested.
Yeah, there were some changes I think at Netflix, and some it got anyway. Who knows? It changes all the time, but it pushes boundaries.
I like that.
Yeah.
Is there any like character that you wanted to play, or like an impression that you do that you'd like never get to show off?
Impressions? No, I do certain characters. I did movie trailer work. I've done some voice matching of different characters in that.
Voice matching,
yeah. Which is different characters like I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, but I will find you, will kill you, and I will do the Liam, and there's other wizards. I always play wizards, and so there's other things that I somehow, in the past have done. Woody Harrelson, they've wanted, and I don't even know how I'm even close. All of it. Maybe he does these things with it's a bit of a Texas drawl, and I don't know what it is. Anyway, you get close enough, but you have to act the scene, which is fun. But I always. And I've always wanted to do more in the Star Wars franchise, anything, and I never seem to get. I got a chance to play and work with James Arnold Taylor in the franchise like a number of years ago. I played a couple of General Tandon,
Mm-hmm.
but I really I grew up with it. I saw that film when it came out in the 70s, and I always wanted to get a chance or a shot to do a Star Wars character. That's sort of
right.
Something I'd love to do. I got a chance to do Arishem in the Marvel universe, and
Mm-hmm.
and that hopefully he comes back. It is time. I loved that whole process working with Chloe Zhao. There's more to come, more I want to do, but Star Wars is the one I'm like, I have a soft spot for all of it. I don't care if they cancel them. I love them. I love all of it. Yeah, so
let's get this man in Star Wars, people.
Yes, just give me Star Wars. Give me something weird. I can do weird stuff like
you can do aliens.
Yeah, aliens. Yeah, robots and old people.
You said you get almost like, all right, this guy's got a wizard-like voice. Like, if it's not anything but space wizards, what is Star Wars?
I know. I can be the space wizard. You shall not pass. So. Sure, I have no regrets. I love everything. I have a great team of people, and there's stuff that comes across the desk and the screen like on a daily basis. They're like, "Oh, that'd be cool. Oh, that'd be cool." And I do my thing. I forget about it and move on. That's the way it is. And I feel if I do that, I do better work. If I'm not, Canadian hockey analogy is that you can't grip the stick too tight there, eh? You're gripping the stick too tight, right? So you can't do that. It's got to be like jazz, loose hands. It's the same analogy, for this work is do it loose, be loose, and just, and that just comes with time. and confidence and patience and that. But yeah, if I what I know now, if I knew now what I didn't know then, but that's just the journey, as we said. And leads us to that. The purple rubber ducky, you're the one.
We gotta wrap up soon.
Yes,
a little bit here, but this is an interesting one. And Christopher had brought it up with me. There's such a change between Beast Machines, Megatron, who becomes transcendent.
Yeah.
And at that point, quite evil.
Yeah.
Like dictator of an entire planet, like evil.
Yeah.
What was that switch over like?
To be honest with you, I was a little disappointed because I loved the comedy and I loved the sort of a chance to sort of add. There was no ad-libbing. There's no like, what about this way? How about we try that? There was none of that when it came
There's
down
less
to,
cheek.
Yeah, omnipresent, Megatron. It was all about, noble and I am all encompassing. There's only so much room in there. And you have to be quite still when you're performing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I always loved, the riff of the earlier Megatrons. Stop calling me that,
And
there's
a pettiness.
very Shakespearean, very
it was all that
and there's a
of,
pettiness.
petty. Yeah, exactly. But the
I
omnipresent, the omnipresent thing, and I get the whole story that as an actor or as someone who watches something, I'm much more interested in example. Alan Rickman was one of my favorite all-time actors, and he was just so good at being
legend,
still, and being quiet, and in being quiet and still like you're creeped out. It's much. I guess the analogy is if a character is like screaming all the time and yelling, you're like, it kind of gets, it's one note. But if you're like that sort of Shakespearean, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis noble in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, there's the rub. There's a dig into it. And but if you're like, to be or not to be, that is, it's like, please, it's to try and bring levels. And I was able to sort of do that with earlier versions of it, thinking back. And with the omnipresent one, which I dug the animation, I dug the darkness, and I'm a big fan of Dark Batman and the whole thing, but there wasn't a lot of room to sort of, this is where he is now, and there's no jokiness, there's no joking around, and so I was personally a little bit disappointed. But I love the gig, and I did the best, at the time that I could do, but yeah, that's how I felt about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like a lot of people missed the cheese, but it was a turn of the millennium. Like the Matrix was in, it was hot.
Yeah, it was hot. That's right.
Yeah. Anime was becoming mainstream.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They mixed it up.
Oh yeah.
All right, I just have one final question for you, and then we'll we'll let you get out of here. This is a silly one, but I always like to ask this of everyone we interview from Beast Wars. In the show, there's a unit of time called a cycle. It's very ill-defined and kind of inconsistent about how long a cycle is. So, in your opinion, how long is a cycle?
In my opinion, a cycle would mean like, when the planets come all the way around again. I don't. Is that a year?
A revolution or a year? Yeah.
Or if think of a cycle in their terms, a life cycle, a cycle.
In terms of the Transformer life.
Yeah, I would say maybe 1,000 years.
There we go.
Yeah. There we go. That's the biggest number we've heard. So bravo.
Yeah. Yeah, because in robot, I think in robot terms, like every 1,000 years is nothing. That would be, do that with my eyes closed.
4 million years hence.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for answering our silly question.
Sure.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for being on the show with us.
Of course. You're welcome. Hope to see you guys in Vancouver. Spread the word. I gotta get up to see
That's
my
right.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get hell, there we
Make
go.
it
Maybe
happen.
we can start a petition or talk to the people at Fan Expo about getting
Please.
some Beast Wars
Yeah,
actors.
it's my old hood. We got us all there, right? I mean, God, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's
all
do
right.
it.
Yeah, listeners. Be like,
Well,
hey, where's David Kaye?
That's right. Hey,
Let's
Neil.
do it.
Hey, Christopher. Thank you so much, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes,
This has been great.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you got it. You guys have a great day, and go Lions.
Go
Take
Lions,
care.
yeah. Have a nice
Right.
day. Thank you.
All right, you too. Cheers, guys.
Too much energy.
Once again, I want to extend the utmost gratitude to Mr. David Kaye for agreeing to be on the show. It was a real treat. Never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined when we started this podcast just about 5 years ago that we'd get to talk to the likes of Ian Weir, Bob Buckley, Gary Chalk, David Kaye. But here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, child me would be quite pleased. And you know what? Adult me is quite pleased. So yeah, I feel like we've been lucky.
We have. And, well, me and Cal have kind of talked it over. And, well, we didn't get to Beast Wars Neo, but I don't know. I feel like we kind of came to the same conclusion at the same time.
Police are coming because we came to because of the conclusion. Quick, no.
Because of the conclusion that we came to. I said when I told Cal that that David Kaye had agreed to be on the show, I was like, this is going to be the absolute peak of Too Much Energon. We're never going to be able to top this. And Cal responded with, then we should retire. And
retire as champions.
And that's the announcement. Episode 151 is the final episode of Too Much Energon. Endings are important. They're bittersweet, but it's good to go out on a high note, and this, I feel, is definitely the show going out with a bang.
Yeah, definitely. And anything beyond this point would be the death pangs of Too Much Energon.
Beating a dead horse so bad that it's just like ground meat on the pavement.
There's some recognizable horse in there, but yeah, I think that doesn't mean that there might not be like, future Beast Wars stuff to do, possible like bonus episodes of, right? Those would be like I had just said, like a treat, a bonus, rather than a continuation of the podcast.
Yeah, maybe sometime down the road we'll come back with like a bonus episode where we talk about Beast Wars Neo. Or something.
If there's new media out of it, right?
Yeah, or if there's suddenly like a new like Beast Wars movie or something that comes out, then we're definitely going to come back for that. But as for the show's like regular run, this is it. This is it, folks.
Yeah. So the editor will insert some sad Enya music. Maybe that Gladiator song where he's like walking through the field and touching the grain.
The song from Titanic where he's like, "Gentlemen, it has been an honor playing with you."
Maybe that, yeah.
That's the music that's gonna that should accompany this. No,
Which we definitely have the rights to, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, we wanted to extend some thanks.
Yeah, I've got a list of people here that I wanted to give thanks and give shout outs to. First and foremost, user on our Discord, Big Damn Hero, is his username. His baby son had to stay in the hospital recently, and well, I believe as of yesterday, he has finally been able to come home. So we want to extend our send all of the love your way to you and your family.
Yeah, some good news. Good news in these trying times.
In these dark times, yes.
Yeah, if anything, from the interview with David Kaye has taught me is that he just has fun doing that voice. Like, it seems like he just likes doing it.
It is a very fun voice. And
it's funny that he said Sean Connery was kind of one of the inspirations for it, because you used to always fall into a Sean Connery impression. So, like, fundamentally, that was one of the bases for it.
Yeah, that's my back
along now, Pred Talk.
Yeah, my Megatron impressions, especially early on in the podcast, would usually kind of devolve into Sean Connery. So it
was kind of funny hearing that. I didn't bring it up then, but I was like,
Yeah, there were a few things I wanted to that I had wanted to mention that I didn't get to, but what are you gonna do?
Such as interviewing rock stars, you know? They're busy people.
They are busy people. And once again, thank you to him for being on the show.
Yeah.
And some people I want to give some special thanks to, some listeners over the years. I want to give a shout out to Roy. I want to give a shout out to Jared, Lewis, Cone Killer Confusor, Dan, Chris. There's a couple of Chris's, actually. Both of you. And any other Chris. You have a good name.
And any Chris's we forgot, yeah.
You have a
There's
good
a TV
name.
show out there called Chris, and Christopher, I'm sure.
Sam, Matt, Bemused Horseman, Candace, for being a friend of the show, and for
Candace Santora Art. Check her stuff out.
And for putting us in touch, and really she's the reason why we were able to get Gary Chalk on the show a while back. So
absolutely, yeah.
Big thank you to her. I want to thank past guests who have been on the show. Ian Weir, Mr. Ian Weir, Bob Buckley, Gary Chalk, Jeannie Carr, David Kaye. I want to thank Bob, the guy who sent the first email ever to Too Much Energon. Not a listener.
Bob.
Not a listener.
Oh, man.
But very, very angry that he had an ad for our show on Facebook back in 2020.
A Facebook ad.
Yeah.
Our first.
I want to thank.
Forgot about that.
I want to thank the Turkish listeners.
You're boosting our numbers early on. We couldn't keep you.
No, we couldn't keep you.
Damn it, you were there for us in the early days.
I want to thank podcasters. They're not listening, but Bibbs and Whitney, because the original format for the show was kind of loosely inspired by their podcast, All Our Yesterdays. I want to thank the host of the Sick and Wrong podcast, D. Simon, also not listening, but it was the interviews that he does on his show that originally inspired me to just start reaching out to people.
I mean, you miss every shot you don't take. And when it started us getting interviews, it's like, oh, I never even thought to try. So, yeah, like you said, just why not?
You just ask.
You just ask.
Yeah.
The worst is they say no or don't reply, which they would have done anyway if you didn't ask.
Yeah. And to be fair, not everyone I reached out to said yes, but the vast majority of them. There's only a couple of people who said no.
They said you weren't big enough, kid. Wait until you get the Joe Rogan Experience numbers, then we'll talk.
I want to thank Kelly from Dork Tales. He was on a couple of episodes of the show.
Mm-hmm. I plug Too Much Energon when I guessed on Dork Tales.
Nice. Good.
Good.
I want to thank Dan from the What the Famicom podcast. He was on an episode of the show. He was on episode 50 with us. I still listen to his show every now and then.
Yeah, I should go back and I listened to the first couple. I should go back and catch up because he passed the great physical barrier of any indie podcast, the wall of reaching 3 episodes. I think he's got a little bit more than 3.
Yeah, I think he's up to episode 50 something now.
Yeah, they're banging those out.
I want to thank my friend and former coworker Duncan for being on an episode of the show, and for being someone to, especially during lockdown, to talk about, Beast Wars and Transformers with IRL.
Bigger fan than wannabes like me, like that. He's big fan.
Bigger fan than I am, even.
Yeah. Was he the one with the Unicron, or the what's that big freaking one he had?
I think he brought, when he was on an episode, I think he brought Tigerhawk with him.
Was that it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an OG Tigerhawk. Also, the masterpiece Megatron that David Kaye has in his office, Duncan actually has one of those.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's nice. Yeah.
I
keep it in dinosaur form too.
I want to thank my former partner, Krista. She's never been on the show, but she has been on our other podcast, the Lazor Comb podcast, a few times. I want to thank her. She was very supportive. We're not together anymore, but she was very supportive of the podcasting endeavor early on. And I also want to thank you, Cal, for doing this show with me.
Even though I'm not as funny as Stephen Colbert? There's a deep cut. What is that? 100 episodes ago?
Oh, more than that.
More
than that, yeah. I think that was episode 13.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm forgetting anyone, my apologies, but thank you to anyone and everyone who has been listening along the way. We also got some listener emails that I wanted to get to, because I put out a bit of a call to action last week when we decided this was going to be the final episode of the show. I'm like, all right, people, if you want an email read on Too Much Energon, now's the time. So we're going to start with our listener Matt. He says, "Dear Too Much Energon, friends from the other side of the continent. As a lifelong Beast Wars fan, I introduced my 2 young children to the series about a year ago. While watching the series with my kids, I wondered, is there a podcast about Beast Wars out there? Enter Too Much Energon. I was flabbergasted to find such a niche podcast for one of my favorite childhood TV series. I'm still not entirely sure why my childhood friends did not latch onto Beast Wars like I did, but I've spent the last 27 years of my Beast Wars fandom alone until I discovered your podcast. I can't tell you how validating it is to hear 2 close friends discuss Beast Wars in a way that I would have with my friends. I've thoroughly enjoyed the Too Much Energon experience thus far. I'm only about halfway through Beast Machines episodes, so hopefully you plan to keep the podcast available so I can get through them all. Oh yeah, the episodes aren't going anywhere. The show will forever be available to listen to in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a lot about Beast Wars, The Matrix, RoboCop, and off-brand Canadian allergy medicine so far. My favorite observation is getting to see what a powerful friendship the 2 of you have.
Aw.
I just want to say thank you for the hours of quality Beast Wars content. If you ever find yourself in or around Detroit, I'm in brackets, I'm sorry to wish that evil on you. I'd love to have... I'd love to have a beer with you guys. Wishing you both the best in the future. Thanks again. Your maximal hombre, Matt.
Hombre Matt. It's funny because Illinois, is Detroit in Illinois? Is it on border?
It's in Michigan.
It's in Michigan. So, my brain just shut off.
It's basically
the other city. There's Detroit, and then there's
basically a American Ontario, is what I've heard it described as.
Apparently that's the housing for there is like Chicago was what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
It's to the west and in Illinois. Apparently Chicago and Detroit are becoming much more desirable in these trying times. So
Chicago is definitely on my list of cities that
Yeah.
I'd like to visit.
there we go. We'll have to visit Detroit Rock City.
We
Like
got.
that he's like, what did he say in like brackets beside if you ever visit Detroit?
I'm sorry to wish that evil upon you.
Well,
we
thanks
got.
for that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for the email, Matt. And I don't see myself going to Detroit, but if I ever do, I will definitely look you up.
When we're running from the law.
When we're running from the Predacons. We got another email here from Daniel. Goes by the name Heinrad on the Discord. He says, "Hello, TME. I've been listening for a few years now, and I've enjoyed the podcast so much. Beast Wars was a show I didn't get into until season 2, but loved it once I did. I'm a G1 kid, but Beast Wars is an amazing sequel series. Your show has been so fun and entertaining. I'm excited you are covering the Japanese shows, which I really enjoy, but are not for everyone. I'm sad the show is ending after Neo, but it's been an amazing experience, and you two guys are great." Yeah. Yeah, I've been dropping pretty overt hints on the Discord that the show was ending, but I didn't come like out and say it directly.
And I'm sure after seeing clips of it that Neo is better. We did War for Cybertron Siege, and we never reached Beast Wars Neo. But Beast Wars Second just felt like it was homework.
Yeah.
In hindsight, maybe we should have done Neo instead, but that's not the format of the show. We've been going kind of chronologically, right?
Sort of.
Or maybe we should have done them in bigger chunks or whatever. But
yeah, for a while there, watching. There were definitely highlights for Beast Wars Second, but we
needed to make it fun. Like if that was a solo podcast, my soul would leave my body.
Right.
But we took things to enjoy from it.
You're in Queer Mantis's realm now, honey.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. Or
never saw him do that again.
Or we never saw him again in the show. He kind of just disappeared after a few episodes.
Yeah.
Or Bighorn and his whole "hey," which is something that I really latched onto.
I don't even remember what I latched onto.
Little things like that were amusing, but yeah, for the most part, the show was kind of a chore to watch, and I'm sure Beast Wars Neo would be the same. But again, we may come back at some point and do a bonus episode just to kind of wrap everything up. But it would just be, I don't know. I don't think it wouldn't be like a whole like series of episodes. It would just be like a one-off.
We happened to watch this, and here are our thoughts, but also hello again. Yeah.
Thanks for the email, Dan. And finally, we have an email from Vampiro. He says, "Greetings, fellow Maximals. Your mission of peaceful exploration has lasted nearly 5 planet Energon years. In that time, you've brought us, the audience, the floating island highs of Trucker Rhinox and stupid sexy Pterosaur. Fuck yeah, time to go kick Megatron's ass. And the burning lava pit lows of enemies of the show, Burnham and Bircham. You share your signature wit and irreverence, your real-life friendship with one another, and shared memories of Beast Formers past. It sounds as if this mission may be nearing its completion, and if that is indeed the case, it was an honor to share Beast Wars with you all these cycles. However the hell long a cycle is. Yes.
Apparently we've only been filming for like one like 1/5% of a cycle. So
Wow.
nothing in or 20 cycles. No in between. No in between.
No in between. He closes it out with your friend in Primus, Vampiro.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There's some, like in
We should
some
go to the TF wiki and enter in David Kaye's unicycle time, and then cite him and our show as
what was it? What was Gary Chalk's like the amount of time between like lunch and dinner?
his was pretty good because it was nebulous.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like whatever. It was like the amount of time between lunch and
An
dinner,
entire Sunday afternoon.
however long that is.
The time between like brunch and dinner or something.
Something like
that.
that, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say is there not just the interviews either. Like the interviews that we've done are definitely something I would have never imagined when we started this show.
Oh yeah.
But there is also, I don't know, like we've made friends along the way,
Yeah.
which is another thing I would have never expected.
And enemies, yes.
And enemies. And me and you became better friends because of the podcast.
Yeah, and I want to you had thanked me, but I want to thank you. I have whether it's there's no such my therapist tells me there's no such thing as laziness. But whether it's laziness or executive dysfunction, right, from like anxiety or ADHD or whatever, having someone having like needing to do something like an appointment, a friend pushing me to do something, a show, but if it's left up to my own devices, I need to start drawing again, and then like I do art once a year or whatever. So like taking the reins and being like, oh hey, like let's do this, and like instead of and like editing and you want it like you've handled all the like the back end stuff, and I've just shown up. Like, yeah, thank you for that, because it wouldn't have launched or gotten off the ground if I was in charge of needing to do all of that stuff. But also other than just the logistics part of it and the editing part of it, for like wanting me to host with you and do this thing. And yeah, it's made me better at communicating even outside of this. We've talked about it a bit before on other shows.
I would say the same for myself as well.
Yeah, specifically just being okay with shutting up. Like if somebody has something to say and just and holding my tongue, or like not interrupting or letting others interrupt, that kind of thing. But yeah, it has it's brought us closer together. We didn't really like get a chance to do much or hang out much, maybe like a few times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, doing the weekly or bi-weekly, or it was when we had like multiple shows juggling like 2 or 3 times a week, like earlier on. It's been fun, man. So thank you for that.
It's been real. I said on the Discord that Cal, you are the Kirk to my Spock, and that's very, very high praise coming from me.
Yes. Thank you.
And so there's no, how to put it this way, there's no mission without Spock, but there's no adventure without Kirk.
Oh,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, it's been real. I think we can probably call it there. Folks, that was Too Much Energon. And now for the obligatory stuff. If you want to support us, Go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB, where starting at the $5 tier, you get a bonus weekly Patreon exclusive show, the Super Lazorcomb Patreon Super Show. At the $10 tier, you get commentary tracks occasionally, and you get to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on our other podcast, the Lazorcomb podcast.
Yeah, we do,
which is still going.
We're not asking you to now join our Patreon and we stop making content.
No. This show is ending, but we're still going to keep the Lazorcomb podcast going, and
maybe something else is starting up.
Maybe something else.
Who knows?
There's also a $20 tier where not only can you pick the show, but you can pick the episode.
No more random bad episodes, or famously, you can pick a bad episode for us.
So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb. I just set up a Buy Me a Coffee. I'm thinking, and this is kind of just me spitballing on air, I was thinking of introducing for like a one-off, for like a donation of like $25, then they can just straight up, like, they don't need to subscribe to anything. They can just straight up buy an episode of the Lazorcomb podcast, basically.
There you go. Yeah. So that being said, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, you'll probably have that written up in Buy Me a Coffee.
Yeah. I've only recently just set up the page, and that was kind of just an idea I had last night. Yeah.
But we don't do reality TV shows or game shows.
Yeah, it has to be, and no documentaries.
No documentaries. We're on to you. We had never said that, but what about fake documentaries?
Well, and indeed, that's how Jared skirted the line with that one.
You sneaky bugger.
But
didn't he also skirt the line with like a fake game show?
A fake competition show, yeah.
Oh.
If you want to interact with us, the best way to do that is to join the Discord. There's also links to our Blue Sky and TikTok accounts in the description of this episode, as always. If you want to buy a t-shirt, go to the Too Much Energon store. T-shirts not strictly related to, just to Too Much Energon, like the one that I'm wearing. But there's also, popular one seems to be our Lazorcomb Productions logo, which is the Blockbuster logo that says Lazorcomb in it. That seems to be the most popular t-shirt we have. So if you want to buy one of those, click the link in the description. And now, this is normally the part where I would say we'll be back next time with blah blah, but, well, that's not happening. So, I'd been racking my brain for a long time about like what to close the podcast out with, the final episode of the podcast out with, and I had some ideas for like songs that were kind of fitting or whatever. But then it hit me, instead of doing that, why not just round the show out with one final little bit of nostalgia? If you were a kid in the 90s watching Beast Wars, all the way through the credits, all the way to the end, there was a series of title cards with very distinct sounds that you would hear. And to me, that seems like the most appropriate way to end the podcast out with. So, thanks for listening to Too Much Energon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Maximize.
No problem.